Football is a game defined by its cruel unpredictability, a theater where the lines between historical royalty and modern defiance blur until they disappear completely. On the humid grass of Miami Stadium, in the crucible of the World Cup round of 32, we witnessed a match that defied the traditional laws of footballing gravity. It was an agonizing, beautifully flawed masterpiece that pushed the reigning titans of Argentina to the absolute precipice of disaster against an unyielding, fearless Cabo Verde side. When the final whistle echoed through the night after 120 minutes of pure, unadulterated chaos, the scoreboard read 3-2 in favor of the South Americans. Yet, the numbers failed to capture the psychological trauma left on the pitch. This was not a celebration of dominant majesty, it was a desperate, gasping survival story. For Argentina, it was a terrifying reminder of how fragile their crown truly is. For Cabo Verde, it was a heroic tragedy, a performance of monumental bravery that proved names and history mean nothing when 22 men step onto the field with everything to lose. To understand why this encounter shook the foundation of the tournament, one must look at the immense psychological and historical weight carrying into the kickoff. Argentina entered the World Cup as the benchmark of global football, burdened by the crushing expectation of an entire nation demanding perfection. Every match they play is treated as a coronation, a narrative arc designed to further elevate the legendary legacy of Lionel Messi in his twilight years. The pressure on manager Lionel Scaloni was suffocating. He was a man tasked with transitioning a golden generation while maintaining the ruthless winning edge that defined their recent history. Opposing them was Cabo Verde, a nation representing a tiny archipelago, arriving with absolutely nothing to lose and a quiet, dangerous confidence. They had navigated the group stage entirely unbeaten, forging their path through 3 consecutive draws, displaying a tactical discipline and mental resilience that made them a nightmare for elite opposition. The media had written them off as mere background actors in Argentina's grand play, but inside the Cabo Verde dressing room, there was a profound belief that history is made by those who refuse to be intimidated. Their head-to-head narrative was a classic story of David versus Goliath, but in modern football, David is armed with sophisticated tactical maps and hyper-athletic pressing structures. The psychological tension was palpable from the opening minute, as Argentina tried to assert their traditional dominance while Cabo Verde looked to exploit the growing anxiety of a champion that knew a single mistake could mean a catastrophic exit. The tactical chess match began with Lionel Scaloni deploying a fluid 4-1-2-3 system, designed to control the central corridors through Alexis Mac Allister, Enzo Fernandez, and Rodrigo de Paul. Cabo Verde countered with a highly disciplined, narrow 4-1-4-1 low block, anchored by Kevin Pina, aimed at denying any space between their defensive and midfield lines. In the early phases, Argentina monopolized the ball, shifting it horizontally to stretch the African side's defensive shape. In the 14th minute, the first clear tactical opening emerged. Lionel Messi dropped into the right half space, dragging a central defender out of position, before dropping his shoulder and driving into the penalty box. He found a pocket of space, but his low, angled drive flashed agonizingly wide of the right-hand post. This missed opportunity triggered an immediate reaction from Cabo Verde, who tightened their horizontal spaces, forcing Argentina to resort to set pieces. Just 4 minutes later, Messi stood over a long-range free kick. He struck a vicious, curling effort aimed precisely at the bottom left corner, but the veteran goalkeeper Vozinha read the flight perfectly, scrambling across his line to produce a spectacular fingertip save. The tactical setup was working for Cabo Verde, but the constant pressure eventually fractured their concentration in the 29th minute. Lisandro Martinez, operating as a ball-playing center-back, noticed Cabo Verde's defensive line step up slightly too late. He delivered an exquisite, lofted diagonal pass over the top of the defensive structure. Messi, ghosting past his marker, timed his run perfectly, controlled the ball smoothly in mid-air, and unleashed a ferocious, rising shot into the roof of the net, leaving Vozinha completely helpless. The breakthrough broke the deadlock, forcing Cabo Verde to abandon their ultra-conservative defensive stance and push their midfield line 5 meters higher up the pitch. Argentina attempted to capitalize on this space just before halftime, when Enzo Fernandez picked up a loose ball on the edge of the area and hit a stinging, low-driven shot toward the bottom right corner, only for Vozinha to deny him with another exceptional diving save. The second half commenced with an immediate shift in momentum as Cabo Verde's manager, Pedro Leitão Brito, instructed his team to trigger a high-intensity press whenever Argentina's fullbacks received the ball. In the 54th minute, this aggressive pressing structure paid dividends. Diroy Duarte intercepted a loose clearance just outside the box and unleashed a powerful, swerving effort that looked destined for the bottom right corner, forcing Emiliano Martinez into a desperate, flying save to maintain the lead. Argentina tried to respond by slowing down the tempo, and in the 63rd minute, they looked certain to double their advantage. A quick combination play through the central channel released Messi unmarked inside the box. He placed a delicate, side-footed shot toward the center of the goal, but Vozinha showcased incredible reflexes, throwing his body across the frame to pull off a miraculous stop. This save proved to be the psychological turning point of the second half. Sensing Argentina's frustration, Cabo Verde launched a direct counterattack just 4 minutes later. Ryan Mendes picked up the ball on the right flank, exploiting the space vacated by Facundo Medina, and delivered a sharp, low cross into the heart of the penalty area. Diroy Duarte arrived completely unmarked, calmly adjusted his body shape, and swept a clinical side-footed finish into the bottom left corner, leveling the score at 1-1. The stadium fell into a stunned silence as Argentina's composure completely evaporated. Scaloni reacted wildly on the touchline, introducing Julian Alvarez and Nicolas Gonzalez to inject energy, but the tactical structure remained fractured. In the 86th minute, disaster struck further for Argentina as Medina suffered a severe injury, forcing a frantic tactical reorganization with Nicolas Tagliafico entering the fray. Messi tried to rescue the match in the 95th minute with a signature curling free kick, but Vozinha stood firm once again, parrying the central effort away to send the match into the grueling abyss of extra time. The physical toll of 90 minutes was evident as extra time began, but Argentina struck with lethal efficiency in the 92nd minute. Having earned a corner kick on the left side, Messi delivered an outswinging cross. Alexis Mac Allister rose at the near post, flicking a brilliant header across the face of goal, where Lisandro Martinez reacted quickest, ghosting past his marker to smash the ball into the back of the net from close range. Leading 2-1, Argentina sought to manage the game, but their defensive fragilities were exposed once again in the 103rd minute. Cabo Verde refused to capitulate. Sidney Lopez Cabral received a sharp pass in the intermediate space, drove past a fatigued Argentine midfield, and unleashed an absolute thunderbolt from mid-range that flew directly into the top right corner of the net, leaving Emiliano Martinez frozen. At 2-2, the match had transcended tactical structures, it was now a battle of pure kinetic will. Just as a penalty shootout seemed inevitable, the cruelest twist of fate occurred in the 111th minute. Argentina won a corner, and after a chaotic scramble, Christian Romero directed a powerful header toward goal. In a desperate attempt to clear the line, Cabo Verde defender Dani Borges inadvertently deflected the ball into his own net, gifting Argentina a dramatic 3-2 lead. The final minutes were an exercise in sheer defensive desperation. In the 116th minute, Cabral curled a spectacular free kick toward the top right corner, but Emiliano Martinez produced a world-class, flying save. Just 3 minutes later, Steven Moreira leaped highest to meet a dangerous cross, powering a header toward the left corner, but Martinez pulled off another miraculous reaction save, preserving the victory until the final whistle blew. This agonizing victory leaves Argentina with a profound sense of relief, but it also exposes deep, systemic vulnerabilities that could threaten their entire World Cup campaign. While their attacking fluidity remains lethal when Messi is given space, their defensive transition play looked incredibly slow and highly susceptible to direct, athletic counterattacks. The injury to Facundo Medina further complicates Scaloni's defensive depth, and he must find a way to restore defensive solidity if they are to survive the quarterfinals. For Cabo Verde, this exit is heartbreaking, yet it cements their reputation as one of the most tactically astute and mentally resilient teams of this tournament cycle. They pushed the world champions to the absolute limit, proving that their unbeaten group stage was no fluke. They returned home with their heads held high, having earned the universal respect of the footballing world. Looking at the chaotic nature of this match, the tactical breakdowns, and the sheer unpredictability of the defensive errors, it forces us to look at the bigger picture of this tournament. Can this fragile Argentine defensive line genuinely withstand the tactical sophistication and raw power of the remaining elite nations, or has this near disaster against Cabo Verde exposed a structural blueprint that will inevitably lead to their downfall in the upcoming rounds?